And here we are.
Here we are.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenny.
I'm Paul.
And we are Palette Knives Out Artcast.
That's us.
And today we are channeling Van Gogh with a Van Gogh Vineyards painting, which I'll guide you through step by step. Hope you guys had a great week and hope your weather's been decent. We have had great weather and actually got a little tiny misting of rain yesterday. And I told my child, we went through the car wash in the afternoon, and I said, just watch, it's gonna rain. And it wasn't even in the forecast, and it rained, so I thought that was so funny, and now she thinks I'm a witch. So that was pretty funny. We've had a great week, and we're ready for Friday. Thank God it's here, and we're gonna paint. So let's do a quick toast, zoom in, and we'll
Are we doing the toast, or are we doing the zoom?
Let's toast.
Let's toast.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo. Hello, Kim, Susan, and Marlene. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Here we go. Okay, let me line myself up here. Get these little readers on. Yay, getting older. Reading glasses are part of my, like, if I don't have them, I'm in trouble. Okay, so why do I smell rubbing alcohol? Oh, you're cleaning your glasses. Okay. Takes a live stream for you to clean your glasses.
It takes me just having glasses for you to make a comment about me having glasses.
Right, about cleaning your glasses. Okay, let me just try to adjust this. So here are our colors. We have everything in the Daler set that we've been using except black. And getting older beats the alternative. You are absolutely right. I actually need to think about that more. You're absolutely right. So you can sub your own colors here. This is a very expressionist painting and can lend itself to all kinds of different color variants. Like you could have kind of a peachy orange color going into blue, or you know, your vineyard is kind of there, it's very technicolored down here, and you can put in whatever other colors you might want. All you're going to learn tonight is the techniques. So I have on my palette white, processed yellow, yellow ochre, cyan, and magenta.
You know what's amazing? Those are the same colors I have on my palette.
Crazy. So I'll move this aside. Paul, can you?
What do you want?
I think I'm good.
What do you need?
I think I'm good. Sorry, everyone. Here's the painting up close and personal. Look at all those little dashy marks. In fact, actually, what I'm doing right now is just tilting a chair around so I can set this nearby. Sorry, and I'm apparently bumping the table. Okay. So let's take a quick look. All these little dashies and swirls, that is all channeling Van Gogh. The way that I highlighted the mountains over here was taking a page out of his book. And then the multicolors on the vineyard also. And everything's sort of, it's like neatly sloppy, if that's the right term for it. Like this vineyard, I feel like it's sloppy and painterly, and that's a good practice for breaking away from being too rigid with painting, which, as you guys know, I am very rigid and have to work really hard on that. The sky is definitely not quite as easy flowing as this is. It's a little more structured, but I'll show you how to do it. So let's take our biggest brush to start.
Kim is here.
Yeah, she's been here from the beginning. Oh, so glad you're back and you got to see all the art. That's so amazing. Okay, so I've got 4 brushes here. This is 3/4 inch wide. These are the 2 I use the most, 3/4 inch wide, and this is about 1/4 inch wide. And we'll work these in as well, but not quite as much as these 2. Let's go ahead and dunk the biggest brush in your water cup, brush it back and forth across the bottom of the cup just to loosen up the bristles. And as crazy as it sounds, we're going to start with white. So go ahead and dab your brush in your white.
For some reason, my urge
and paint a big circle about softball size right here, because it does get smaller as you as we add in the other colors. Okay, now you can talk, Paul.
Never mind.
It doesn't have to be a perfect circle either.
That's a good band.
What?
A perfect circle.
Huh. I don't know who that is, actually.
Isn't that Maynard?
I don't know. Does Maynard have a different band?
Yeah. Oh. I'm going to look it up.
My glass has like paint splatters on it.
Everything has paint splatters on it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and mix yellow and white together. You can just kind of dab them side by side. My palette got, the blue kind of burped as I opened it, so it got pretty splattered with, if you saw it up close, what's going on with that up there? Did our monitor die up there? Is that a problem?
I don't know.
You don't know? Like, they can see us, right?
I don't know.
Let us know if you can still see us.
I think it just looks like that monitor up there turned off. Oh, I know why. Oh, duh.
What?
Never mind. Nothing.
Okay. Okay, so let's just encircle the sun with this pale yellow mix. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I was cleaning the monitor, the keyboard and mouse.
So see how...
Oh, wait. No, that's not.
No, that's not it. You're going to have to figure it out. So see how the sun is already getting smaller? And what I like to do is just work my brush outward until I run mostly out of paint. And then I'll come back in this sun area and just use the very little paint-containing brush to kind of smooth out and blend the white into the yellow. And we can always go back and add more white if needed, like if you feel like your sun got way too small. Absolutely. So we're going to bring this color, we want to bring it down just a little bit below halfway or right at halfway, and then to about there, and I'll have us start switching the colors up. So let's go ahead. Here I'm getting, so this is some of the blue that splattered on my palette, deciding it wants to be part of this painting, which I suppose is okay. I've been working on a portrait at home for a birthday present that someone ordered for someone else, and trying really hard to loosen up, looking at lots of different other portrait artists, famous and non-famous, and my gosh, it is such a struggle to, I really want to dive into loosening up.
There you go. Monitor's fixed.
For a long time, back in like 2000, early 2000s, I went into a period of time where for like 5 years I only did abstract paintings. I was just on a kick, I guess, and I worked on giant canvases. And then when I came back from that and started doing more, not necessarily realistic, but paintings of real things, I found that I could loosen up really easily. So I feel like maybe I need to do that again. Dive deep into the world of abstract art. So you should have this pale yellow encircling white, and now we're going to change it up, and we are going to go into margarita green, and then finally into a color that's turquoise, kind of like our Bahama blue color. So what we want to do first is we take our white and yellow mix and maybe make a little more, because we're going to feed off of this for the next colors. You can add a little more yellow. And grab, using the corner of your brush, grab a little bit of your cyan or blue, whatever you're using. Just a little. And mix it in, and just keep adding a bit more until you get a color that's sort of margarita green. You might end up having to pull more yellow in or white, but that's about the color I want. Key lime, margarita, whatever helps you visualize it. And we're going to go along the edge here and just blend it out this way. Let your brush run out of paint. And then once your brush is running out of paint, and see I'm getting some really nice streaks of yellow in there, which were unintentional, but I love that. It's totally okay the way I kind of created an uneven border down here. But my brush is now almost out of paint, and I'm just going to go over the seam where the yellow becomes the yellow-green, and suddenly that's a lot more blended. So it only works if the two colors are wet. So if, let's say, you had to get up and get something and you came back and the yellow wasn't wet anymore, just wash your brush, add some more of this butter yellow on there, and then add the green. And now we're going to head more towards turquoise. So we're going to add just a little more blue to that. Cyan. This is good. Not quite Bahama blue.
We have essentially painted the inside of an avocado.
Yeah, actually you're right. So same thing, just go right up against that margarita green color and extend out this way. Let your brush run out of paint, and then go back and blend into that light key lime margarita color. So we can have streaks. It can be unblended streaks, but I do kind of like a little bit of blending because I feel like if it's blended, it makes the little dashes we put on stand out a little more. Here I'm getting some yellow coming out of my brush. I think that's really cool. Gonna stick with that and just come all the way to the edge. So this was a painting that I designed quite a few years ago. I want to say around 2018, 2019. It was a date night painting, so it was actually 2 of this size canvas, and the whole thing stretched over to the 2 canvases. And I don't think it ever got taught. I think I designed it, and we never got a chance to put it on the calendar, and COVID hit, and that was the end of that. But I found it the other day when I was going through some of my Facebook albums. So one thing I used to do when I would train other artists to teach in the studio is I would do step-by-step photos of my process, kind of like the sheets you guys used to get when you had the sub box through us, and it had the step-by-step pictures. And I would upload them to Facebook as a private album that just included me and that artist, so we could chat about the process, and they could train themselves on it, or we would train together. Some of them liked to train themselves, and others liked to train together. But most artists can look at something and figure out how to do it based on some simple instructions and photos. So yeah, I found this photo process in there, and I was like, you know what? I love that painting, and I'm going to turn it into a single canvas painting for us. Okay, so I washed my brush. Now here's where if you want to go back and reblend anything, or maybe your yellow ended up disappearing, you want to put some more streaks of yellow in there, you absolutely can. I feel like what I've got right now is good. Here's the original. You can see it's very, very similar. This one I put in some raw sienna, and I ended up not liking it. So you can see it here and here. And once I got so far in the process, I was like, I'm just going to leave it. And then when I teach the original, I'm going to leave it off. Because it didn't sing for me. Didn't really like it that much.
I was right. Maynard had a band called the Perfect Circle.
Oh, nice. Okay. So Kim, now that we are kind of finished with this upper part, tell us all about your favorite place that you visited on your trip. And I will get us going on the next steps.
Wait, did you guys go to the Olympics?
Oh, yeah, that was right around that time.
That's like one of my dreams, is to go to the Olympics. It used to be in the Olympics, but...
Hey, those days are gone. So I'm going to just add a little more white back in here, from working from the center out.
I don't know. I saw the Australian breakdancing team.
It was
There's
one lady.
always a chance.
I think everyone's seen that ray gun woman.
I think her name's
Hashtag ray gun.
I think her name's Rachel Gunn.
It is. Okay. Wash, wash, wash.
Kudos to Jimmy Fallon and Rachel Dratch.
Yeah, I saw something about that. Okay, so now we are going to start putting in our vineyard. Oh my word, no, but there were several events in Nice. It's Nice, isn't it? Nice, France, 2 days before, and the Tour de France earlier. That's awesome. That is pretty amazing. We will live vicariously through you.
Not forever, but just
Not forever. Someday we're gonna
go ourselves.
Okay, I want to pull up a photo of what we're gonna do next, because I took process photos when I repainted this, and this is what we're gonna go to next. So you see, we've got the background there. You can see the raw sienna streaks I told you about. I just didn't like them. And then, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put that vineyard on, and you see how the vineyard lines are real tight together way back here, and then they fan out. Like, think of it like a spider maybe? Whatever helps you visualize it. A fan, an umbrella, something. But we want to mix our color. with the same biggest brush, we're going to be loose here, loosey-goosey. Let's mix blue, or cyan and magenta, about equal parts. We're aiming for a dark grape color, grape soda. So I would say there's probably a little more pink than blue, a little more magenta than cyan. But yeah, there it is. Let me tilt it to the light. Don't know if that helps. Very pretty color. We use this quite a bit throughout. So first what we're going to do is let's draw a stopping point. So let's make a point right here. We're drawing the vineyard, then we're going to add some hills back behind it. So you don't have to worry about this being perfectly straight. In fact, it can even arch down. Mine's probably going to arch down. I like that. And then it's probably right at about halfway, maybe a little to the right of halfway. So like I think this is probably about halfway. So maybe to the right, half an inch to an inch. And just use the thin edge of your brush and swipe across. Again, we're going to build mountains back here, so any of this stuff can get completely changed up. So right here, let's angle this dab, dab, dab all the way to the corner. It can go meet right up with the corner. So we are looking at this in perspective. So everything down here is going to be wider than it is back here. So you see how this is very skinny, and then it gets quite a bit wider, like a big bell bottom. And then I like to start and work from the left side working right. But you might be different. You might like to go alternate sides or start in the center. Whatever floats your boat. But yeah, each line is going to parallel and make them really tight together back here. Like this one I almost did too far away. But this one's nice and close. If you need to use a smaller brush here, feel free to do that. I'm going right for the big brush. And always make them a little wider down at the bottom. We layer so many colors in here, so you're not locked into anything you paint on here. It can be easily covered up. Like this one I made maybe a little too thick, but you know, the people planting the vines were a little bit drunk that day, sampling the merch. And I found for myself the key to painting looser is to go fast before my brain can go, hey, wait, stop. You need to really think about this some more.
Do you know Eric Clapton had a song called Bell Bottom Blues?
I did know that. My dad was a huge Eric Clapton fan.
That makes sense.
So this is really messy and imperfect.
Riverboat tour down the Thames River in London.
Oh, that's amazing.
We won't go back to London as we saw everything there is to see, including a gnarly demonstration. Oh, like London's kind of a caca show right now,
yeah,
actually.
There's some stuff.
There's some shit going down.
Okay. So about like that, kind of, sort of, like mine is very flawed over here. It looks really strange right now, and probably a lot of painters would put it together differently, but this is the way I chose to put it together. While I've got the purple on my brush, I'm just going to create a low, let me show you what we're painting, just so you have an idea. Just this low rolling hillside. We're not talking like Teton Mountains or tectonic mountains. Is that what they are, the Grand Tetons? Yeah, those are tectonic, right?
I think so.
So we're just creating rolling hills. And I use the thin edge of my brush, or you can use a smaller brush. And I'm probably going to add a tiny bit of water to my paint as it's kind of drying up and getting thick, and I'm too lazy to mix more. So just come right across the top of the vineyard, and you can end right there. We're going to bring blue hills in. Fill this in. If your yellow mixes with it, totally fine. It happened to me when I did the original, and I just left it and planned on coming back to put another coat of purple on, and that's exactly what I did. Go right down to your original vineyard horizon line.
What?
Nothing.
Oh.
I was just checking yours out. You're doing different colors.
Not really.
Kind of.
Well, I added a little bit of raw sienna in the sky.
You have, yeah, very avocado.
It
guy.
totally looks like an avocado without the pit.
Okay, so
Doesn't
this
chips
can
and
be.
guacamole sound really good?
I'm actually not hungry right now because I had a little bit of fruit crisp before we left the house.
You're
was
welcome for that.
I was like, I'm feeling like I need to have a snack before I go to live stream for a couple hours. So I had made. Paul went and picked, like, it was exactly 2 cups of blackberries.
Yeah.
And they were perfect and ripe. They were just right outside here.
It's funny because, like, so my little warehouse facility I've got, there's only like 4 tenants, and one of them is the bus barn for the local schools. And behind all the buses, there's a creek, like a ravine that runs down to a creek, and it's just this blackberries, but there's nobody else here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
the buses are not running right now.
yeah. So I'm like, I bet you there's a ton of blackberries. So I took and it took me like 10 minutes to pick that much, and I was picky too.
Yeah.
It was nice.
I'm reading Kim's stuff. London Bridge is really the Tower Bridge, and London Bridge is kind of old and crappy. I've heard that river through there is really interesting too, and kind of dirty. It's a Thames, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also saw Rome, especially in summer. It's hot and dirty. Trevi Fountain was beautiful, but the surroundings were dirty. Yeah, need more trash cans. I've heard these kind of things.
I mean, that just sounds like Europe in a nutshell, from what I understand.
Sorry, some of those spots seemed a little sketch. Felt safe walking by the new Scotland Yard. Well, that's good that everything went off without a hitch, and it was a dream come true. Good to hear, and I like hearing, the realistic side of things too.
You know what I saw was a really interesting map?
Look.
Was of the population of Ireland from like 1884 to now, and where it's concentrated.
Oh.
And it's interesting because, like, it used to be pretty evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm.
Most of Ireland's population density has gone down,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all shifted to Dublin.
Interesting.
So, like, everybody just moved to Dublin and left all the country land. And so, like, there were, like...
Just a sec.
Okay.
Just pause your speech. We're going to mix cyan and white and come up with a medium blue. So not really dark and not really light. Let's see. I'm making probably way too much paint, but I realized I had too much white. It's okay if you get a little yellow in there. Yeah, I have actually heard, I follow a international homes for sale page on Instagram. And I've seen a ton of them in the Irish countryside for sale. And everyone, I'm like, I'll send them to Paul and be like, Paul, Prima, Ireland. Prima's his company.
Yeah.
We're going to move Prima to Ireland.
I mean, it's an untapped market.
Okay, so this hillside is going to be a little bit more grandiose because it is closer to the viewpoint. So something kind of like this. I think I made this one a little higher than my original. And it just comes right into this purple one. In fact, let's actually overlap a bit. Kind of come out into the vineyard just a little. And this can be streaky, a streaky fill-in. I'm just dipping my brush right in the cyan because I want it to be a little less perfect. We want streaky. Let's think Van Gogh thoughts. Anybody got any absinthe and yellow paint we can eat with lead in it?
Let's do it.
I think I have mentioned this before, that Van Gogh would eat yellow paint because he thought it would make him happy, which I think is kind of adorable, but obviously the paint had lead back then, oil paint did. And it was probably a really bad decision on
It was probably cadmium. It was probably cadmium yellow too.
So people are like, oh, he was born, he was just crazy, there was something off about him. I'm like, maybe? But it also could be he was loaded with some toxins and absinthe, wormwood absinthe.
So, back to Ireland. One of the states, or whatever they're called there, like in 1840
Province,
had,
maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. But had, like in 1840 or whenever it was from, had like 360,000 people.
Uh-huh.
Now it only has 70,000 people.
Wow.
Like, it's just all the and like Dublin itself, like its little pocket only had like 100,000 people back then, and now it's like 1.8 million.
Ugh.
So everybody just basically moved to Ireland. Moved to Dublin, which, go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead now and talk about the dashes in the sky. Oops, I think you flicked water on me, or maybe I did.
Take that.
The dashes in the sky are,
take that.
so we started off by mixing yellow and white, so that's how we have that light, buttery, lemon curd color. We're gonna use yellow straight out of the tube, so came right out of your tube of paint onto the palette, so that we have a contrast. So you see, let me actually
Zoom in.
zoom in rather than being lazy. There you go. You can see that. So we follow the roundness of the sun until we start getting into the other colors. And then we're going to do these fun swirls. Those of you who did the Starry Night with us, I don't know, a couple of years ago, maybe? So I know it was like in March.
I think it was this, yeah.
It wasn't this year. It was maybe last year or the year before. So
it was 2023.
We're going to do exactly the same thing. So let's let this part dry. And pick up your number 8 brush. So this is the one that is about a 1/4 inch wide. Mine's kind of stiff. I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up in the water and then dry it off on my little towel. Dry it off pretty good because we don't want it super wet. And let's scrape off some yellow. And what you want to do is think of this like you're in a boat, or you're in a scuba diving suit and you're floating on the top of the water and you're looking down on a school of, is it sardines that do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is exactly
with their
what we're looking at.
Open mouths.
And they do this. They swim in tight little shapes and somebody leads it all. And when one of them changes, they all change.
Let's not give them that much credit.
Oops.
It's not like they're geese who like have this coordinated effort. It's just pure instinct.
So sometimes what I'll do, let me zoom in just a little here. Gotta move everything to the side to be in the camera. Sorry, there we go. So sometimes what I'll do is, rather than doing like one dash circle, then another dash circle, I'll sometimes do like a few in a row like this, because I feel like that ends up looking a little less planned. And I'll come back and maybe tuck some rogue ones. So we don't want it to look too structured. It does have, obviously, some structure. But like I'll even do some rogue ones that are...
Rogue one.
that are tucked in here. I feel like, gosh, it's in shadow so much. Maybe it's just this top monitor.
Could be, because it looks pretty bright on the
Yeah.
YouTube. I think we need to invest in new monitors.
Probably.
Well,
So-
one, because the lower monitor is good. We just need to get another one of those.
Yeah. I'm going to switch up the color here in just a minute. I want to get like a good maybe 1.5 to 2 inch band around. Like this one, I brought it all the way to the edge over here because that was pretty easy. And yay, God, he loves Starry Night. It's one of my favorites. It's the first painting I did when we first opened our studio, very first day. And then when we closed one of our spaces, it was the last painting we did because I wanted to start with it and end with it. And it was great. So let's go ahead and mix together these two colors. So your processed yellow and some of your yellow ochre. So we want to make a color it's about halfway between. So it's about equal parts. Kind of a golden color. I think I added a little more yellow ochre. And when you mix, your brush gets all globby. See how thick mine is? And what I'll usually do is either wipe it on the paper towel, but I like to be able to pull from my pool of paint on here rather than wasting it. So now you see how different it is. It's not so flared out. Might redip the tip of the bristles. And then we're just going to come in here. Make sure you tuck a few rogue random guys in here. You can see the color change. If it's not showing up, you'll want to add more yellow ochre to it. I mean, if it's looking too much like your yellow color you were just using. And let's come out to about here. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just look for holes, like over here. Maybe there's a couple.
We should have tested the circle template.
Yeah, we could have.
Where is it?
It's in my purse, actually.
What?
Yeah, I didn't want to forget it. Paul got a fancy 3D printer, and we found you can print 3D print cookie cutters, which is like, I use cookie cutters around Christmas, so I'm like trying to think of all these custom shapes I can do. And,
it is not in your purse.
Yeah, it is. It's just my purse is like a. It's like.
Oh, here it is.
Completely crazy and hard to find stuff in. So I washed my brush, by the way.
Ah. That needs to be a little thicker. That's why it's chunky.
So I had Paul design a circle template for me and print it on the 3D printer because in the fall I teach art classes. Actually, just through the school year, I teach art classes with an online charter school that has like 1,500 kids. And we want to do some watercolor, and I thought a fun project would be overlapping a bunch of circles and then painting the areas where they overlap, kind of like a Venn diagram, different colors. And so I thought, well, if I sent them all one of these, then it's kind of easy peasy.
I got fancy
Lemon
with it.
squeezy.
You know, they could use all kinds of these different curves in it.
Yeah. So now we're going to start moving towards kind of a pale teal color. I think that's probably what I would call it. I think if we mix cyan into
I'll go put this back in your
this-
purse so we don't forget it.
Okay, I think if we mix cyan into this and add a little white, that's going to be, oh, sorry.
I think I just burped and everybody heard it.
That's going to be pretty close. Maybe add a little more blue to it. And I do want it to be, see how if I start it right now, it's pretty dark. I actually want it to be lighter than that. So I'm going to pull a little more white. Sorry. And a little more yellow. It's pretty close to that margarita green, just maybe a shade or two darker. Let's see. It's still a little too light.
The paint's drying out
Darn
so
it.
fast tonight.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm gonna see how that looks. That's about the color I want. So big difference. So I'm just gonna
Which color?
that.
Oh,
So there, I'll show you guys.
It's really
It
pale.
is very close to the margarita color, but it's got maybe a little more blue in it, so it's showing up over the top of this key lime color or whatever. And my brush is really being thick right now because of so much paint on it, so I'm gonna wipe it off because I made much more paint than I need. And we don't want to go too far out because we're gonna start doing swirls here in a minute. But do bring a few of these into here. I have a spot where I got some blue on my canvas. And if you did like I did and some of them were a little too dark to start, you can just let them dry and go over them with this lighter color. So Paul and I have been teaching a bunch of live classes lately in Sherwood at our nonprofit place, which are open to the public. So if you happen to be out and about around the area,
I'm not gonna lie.
sign up.
It's been challenging
It's been
for me.
challenging. We're so used to teaching online where we have this Zoom camera, and we feel like it's a lot easier to teach a little bit more complicated paintings because we can zoom in and because you can pause the videos. But when we're in a live setting like that, it's rough because if you get one person who struggles and is behind, you have to wait. And so timing can be a little bit difficult. And
body language.
yeah, when we hear like people,
The audible.
the audible sighs because they're just like having trouble with their trees. But we've heard that forever.
Yeah, but I forgot about it.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't forget about it, but
There's pros and cons to the live classes. I'll just keep it that way.
yep, like it. But we have to get back into.
They're a lot
rhythm.
more exhausting than this, and a lot of it is we have to like set up a whole bunch of equipment and lighting and then take it all apart and wash everything. Here it's just like, okay, we grab our stuff, wash our brushes, and go. Okay, yep. I'm going to start with this big swirl in the sky using this same
swirl in the
light
sky
color.
Keeps on swirling.
We'll see if it shows up over this. But I'm going to come up just like we did with Van Gogh. In fact, I'm actually going to make mine a little bit darker now.
I want to know where Daniel's at tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel, where are you?
You could text him. So I needed a little darker because it wasn't really showing up right here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so this is going to go into a tight little swirl. Keep going, and a lot of times people make these not tight enough.
Oh, we got these other swirls going on. Shoot.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
I wasn't. It's all right, we can make it work.
And let's go ahead and make the second one too. So it's going to just come off of this one, if you have room. If you don't have room, leave it off. It's just a little guy. Just a little dotted line that goes into a nice tight little swirl. If you have room up here, you can do another one up there. It's your painting. You can make it how you like it. So while we've got this color on the brush, let's go ahead and add dashes, just like we did on that Starry Night painting, that sort of follow along in here, just building this out. You want to make sure that you follow the curve rather than flicking outward. You don't want a feather boa. We want a nice, tight little...
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, feather boas are fancy. We don't need them in the sky, though. See how I'm just adding more out and around here. Before I get too far with this, I want to make sure that our little guy down here doesn't get forgotten. There we go. Very good. Looking the way it should. I'm going to wash the brush now because I want to add some of this lighter key lime color in and around. So that was this lighter shade, and you might have to make some more. I might add a little more yellow to it and see how that looks if it shows up. Yeah, it's there. It's not like an in-your-face color, but it is there. Adding variance to the sky.
I don't know, I screwed something up somewhere along the line, so we'll get it back.
Too much talking, Paul.
No, I wasn't talking.
Then I don't know. I can't help you. Well, with acrylics, paint over anything. So these areas out here, just ignore that. You're not going to follow that shape anymore. Now we're focusing on following these shapes. So I'm following the curve of that. And this is where the idea of movement from brush strokes comes in. And that's what I always felt looking at Van Gogh's paintings, is that the skies look like they were churning and moving. So I'm going to mix the two colors together now. And it doesn't really show up. So yeah, you see the movement of the sky. Whirly curly. Let's have a look. Pretty close. Yeah, without the muddy raw sienna streaks in the background there. And you can add other colors into this. I pretty much, on the original, outside of the funky yellow ochre, sorry, I think I said raw sienna, yellow ochre in the background, just had the two greens. But you could add some raw sienna little dashes in there, but I don't really feel like it's necessary. I started to. In fact, I'll show you, because I have what's called confessional OCD, and I tell everything. I added them in here. You can kind of see there, there, and I painted over them, but obviously not 100%. the yellow ochre was just not doing it for me. Okay. Washing the brush.
You know what I
Finish up.
think?
What?
I think that Van Gogh's style came out of the necessity to put a lot of stuff on the canvas at once.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it was post-impressionism, so it was like very expressive with color and his. I always wondered. So his proportions are always really different. You know, like if you've seen like his painting of the chair or the room where he where his bed was. Proportionately, they're very off in perspective and all that. And I always wonder, was that a forced thing that he did? Because we knew he could draw, like he did the potato eaters and some of those older images that were very well, like realistic and proportionate. But then with his later stuff, he was painting things that were slightly wonky, but it gave it a really cool charm. Like the one with the church, you know, with the blue roof, the white building with the blue roof. Very almost like.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we don't want to show because we don't want to show you're painting it. Paula. A big glob of the yellow came off of his brush onto the canvas.
Because it was kind of dried.
And now he's, you know what, you're doing Oregon Ducks colors.
It's fine. It's almost that time of year. Welcome to the Big Ten. Big Ten, are you ready?
There's Daniel. Made it in with no hassles today, but oof da me, I pooped from you pooped from going to the county fair today. Oh my gosh, yeah. You know that even if without the 8 miles of walking, it's just being around so many people and such different energy that it's like that county fair is an energy vampire. It sucks the energy. Okay, let's go ahead now and I will show you, because I love to show the process pictures, because then you guys can see that, yes, it should look like the way it is. It should be kind of messy, but we're going to head towards this. We're going to get some lavender onto the vineyard itself, and then we'll come over here and we'll do some highlighting on these hills. We want to use our big brush again, and we're going to mix our dark grape color. That was cyan and magenta, a little more magenta than a little more magenta than cyan, and then we'll add white to it to make lavender. Yeah, I'm an introvert too. We were just having the Myers-Briggs conversation. I always forget what I test as, and then I have to like go back and do it again. And I think you did the same thing. Didn't you take the test when I asked you the other night? Like,
yeah, and I
you?
always get the same thing.
Me too. I'm an INFP, which the I stands for introvert, and Paul's an ENFP, which the E stands for extrovert. We are very different in that way.
I mean, in a lot of ways, we're the same.
Yeah.
But
So I'm going to add a little white to this and see if it turns the right color that I want. I can see as it's turning, it's a little bluer than I want for this particular thing. So I'm going to add a little more cyan, or magenta to it, sorry. Just a little. Tone it a little more on the pink side.
to everything.
And you don't have to have a complete mix. Like you don't have to completely stir your paint together.
Shoot.
Did you stir your paint together?
No.
Okay. So then just carefully come through between your vineyard rows, and I'm going to give you a secret here.
Oh, shoot. What are we doing?
I need to add some more white to this. So the secret here is we're going to go back and refresh our vineyard rows. So don't worry if you accidentally paint over a bit. So see, I'm kind of overlapping into my dark purple areas. So this is the part that might stress you out a little bit, only because you can see I'm leaving white canvas. And some people have a hard time with that because it feels like it's not right. Like if you do a coloring book thing, you try to complete everything. But I promise you, we add a whole lot of extra other colors, and leaving the white canvas in there gives you spots to focus on.
I'm going to throw sip and paint as a general industry
Under the bus?
under the bus.
Yeah.
There are studios that teach leaving white canvas.
I don't like that.
And it just makes me
so mad.
so mad. So angry.
Yeah, in fact, one of our competitors that came in and tried to rule the town based on their things they would post. They would do that for white parts, like a white sun in the sky. They would just leave the canvas
Oh my gosh.
part white, and I was like, no.
Every great master oil painter from the beginning of time was rolling in their graves, like so angry. They're like, no,
How dare you?
Cretans.
Okay, so this it just showed, probably some of the teachers were just not.
You know what it's the equivalent of? Teaching people to play piano with just their index fingers.
Yes. Or teaching people to be a sommelier just based on the color of the wine.
Yeah.
Oh, we could come up with all kinds of analogies. We'll toss that company right under the bus. They tried to toss us under the bus.
I don't care if you do call me a paint snob.
Okay, so I want to take a look, 'cause I think I added some darker blue to, yes, I did. Okay, thought I had. So we're going to go back to our little 1/4 inch brush, number 8, and we're going to go to the dark, just right out of the tube, Cyan. And we're going to start creating a blueprint for the highlights on the hills. We did exactly this with the Starry Night painting. I know it's going back a while. But what I like to do to get people into the idea of how this works is I'm going to follow, see this hill? I just follow this along, come along the top edge and follow it along like it's one separate mass from this one. And I might add a little water to my paint because it's really drying here from the fan. So it should look like similar to what we have going on in the sky. We've got little dashes. Some are longer, some are shorter. See how I'm sort of curving them down as they meet the vineyard here. And this is not going to be super in your face. It'll be when we add the light green highlights, then it's really more noticeable. And then on this one, I would follow this, like this rolling hill is rolling this way. See how I'm just kind of paralleling the top of the hill? And then this side is going to go along here. So then you're really capturing that movement that I was talking about. The flow of the land. So let me zoom in a little. There you can see. It's fairly subtle.
Did you give us Daler colors?
Yeah. They're on the bottom of the cart there. What are you out of, Paul?
The color I used most.
Green. No, wait, you don't have green. Yellow. Blue. No, yellow. Okay, let's get another coat. Well, no. Ignore what I just said.
Strike that, reverse it. Name that movie.
I have no idea. What movie is it? What movie is it?
I'm not going to say. I'm waiting for other people to
Oh,
answer.
okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and mix up this base blue color with your, so for the rest of the vineyard for now, we're going to be using our number 8 brush. So that's your 1/4 inch wide. So I know we've mostly been using the biggest brush. Actually, we've only used the biggest brush on the vineyard. We're going to go down a size quite a bit. This is only like 3/4 of the size of that. To add in smaller bits of color. So we got our main color in there. We've got some white canvas left to cover. And what I want color-wise is we're going to mix this color. I have quite a bit left because I made a giant pool for some reason. And that's your base mountain color. That was cyan and white. So there and there. Mine, because it's been sitting here a while, I'm going to just refresh it with a little water. And this is a great color to add in here in little dashes. I feel like, looking at this, that's the color I put on the original. I feel like I could add a little more white. There. I just lightened it just a little bit. And you can concentrate on some of the white canvas areas, but I don't want you to only concentrate on those because we have a big mass of lavender, so you can break it up with little dashes. And just think of this as like streaky movement coming this way. Like this is like a 12-lane highway, and these are cars streaking by.
But are they streaking?
Yes.
Is it the naked bike ride?
And if your brush is looking a little thick like mine is, I need to knock some paint off of that. So again, you can just put it on your palette and drag it out, or you can wipe it on your paper towel. But this is partly why my palette gets so messy. But look at that. That's a work of art. Could frame that sucker. So yeah, you're going to feel like your vineyard is, the rows of vineyard grapevines are getting decimated here, but we'll bring them back, I promise. They're going to be bigger and better and stronger. What?
I was just thinking for our relaunch for Van Gogh, we should make some hats that say "Make painting great again."
Please no.
I mean, we do rainbow colored hats. We'll just do it that way.
We could come up with some good stuff. We were looking at what was it called? A hot press machine or something?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make art great again.
And so this hot press machine, you can make your own mugs and T-shirts and hats and all kinds of stuff. We were like, ooh, it's only $179 because for our nonprofit, we sell swag for our shows that we do. So like we're doing the Rocky Horror Show pretty soon in October, and so I'm like, ooh, we could print our own mugs. But then I read the reviews on the machines, and they're great for some things, but apparently not for mugs, which was, I think, one thing I really wanted to do. That looks a lot like how I had my hair in middle school. What looks like a lot like you had your hair? This? Now I'm curious. Okay.
Make art gratifying again.
Okay, let's just move along.
I can't help it.
We're gonna move along from that. One of the things that I did in the original is I usually don't like the vineyard to just end and have there be the hills. So I created a little shrubbery line, but I think I did it right now in the process of the painting, but I think I'm going to add that later because we do need to get a second coat of purple on this hill in a bit. But let's go ahead and add this kind of margarita green color again. That's the color of the night right along the hill here, and then we're going to add it in here. So let's just do that. I've got two areas I can mix it in. So it was yellow and cyan, less cyan because it's going to really convert that to be really dark green right away. So I use more yellow, less cyan, and white. And I'm making way more than I need, but that's okay. And you may find if it's too bluish, you may find that you need more yellow. I'm, for some reason, making giant pools of color. I guess I really am channeling Van Gogh. His paintings were like half an inch thick from the canvas sometimes. I'm going for the big, thick pools of paint. And you can see my brush. Check that out. That is so covered. Way too much. This is where I should be using a palette knife. I don't even know where our palette knives are. They're here somewhere.
They're here somewhere.
So there, I knocked off all the excess, and I'll redip the tip of the bristles. And then just like we did earlier, come in and do some little dashes, thinking all the time about movement. The land is curving downward, and we're going to show that with these little dashes. I need to add a little water to my paint because it is so thick, it's hard to work with. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. Hope you feel better, Kim. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming in. Okay. Let's go ahead and get some more of this on here. So this is acting like highlights from the sun. And then over here, we're going to do the same thing, kind of adding little dashes in here. You could make this go all the same direction too, but I like to change it up just a little bit. So already looking way better. And then we get to put some of this color on the vineyard itself, so that's going to be really good. Okay, definitely can see some movement in there. This one really curves down, almost like a pile of hay. This one, it follows more of the slope of the mountain. So I don't know, I like having both in there just to play it up a little differently. And I love this green on the vineyard. And again, I'm going to concentrate on the white canvas areas. And as we do this, we're, again, going to lose the dark purple rose a bit. But we will be bringing those back.
I'm bringing Vineyards back. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jessica.
Take it to the bridge.
I'm glad it's relaxing to watch. I actually watch painting tutorials as well, particularly when I'm struggling, like I have been a little bit lately on loosening up. And so I watched a portrait tutorial by someone whose style is very free and loose, and
I'm just not
it's
feeling.
so good to do. It is relaxing, and then you are learning some stuff too.
Art's kind of giving me fits a little bit.
It's so off from your style.
No.
And you can choose, as we do this, you can choose which colors you want to add more or less of. So you might get a lot of green on here and just be like, that's too much green. And then what you would do is whatever color we add next, you might use more of that, or you might go back to one of the other colors, like say you really liked having the light lavender in there and you want to add some more back in there. And the thing I like about the green is it really ties this in together. So we've got like the green from up here sort of reflecting down here. So it makes a good color balance. It's a kaleidoscope of color. You watch videos on dams being destroyed, man-made or beaver-made. Interesting. That is an interesting thing to watch to relax. I'm not going to knock it. Everybody finds their thing.
Oh, I didn't even have to look up to know that was Daniel.
So one of the things I run into with this is you can see along the edge, I've not brought the color down and wrapped it a little bit around the edge. So I had to touch up the last one I did. I looked at it when I was done. I was like, oh, I can't take a picture of it like that. So you can use different colors we add on and kind of wrap them down. And you can also layer other colors on top and bring them down too, just so you have the variance, so it's not just like all green wrapping down there. So you can see right now, it's all green wrapping down there. So the next color I use, I'll bring down there as well. Ah, okay. Looking good. Looking good. It's funny how this is the same color as this, but because this was going over yellow and the yellow wasn't 100% dry, it was pretty dry, but maybe it's just because it's over yellow, it takes on a different tone. It's a lot more muted. All right. I am going to have a thought. I'm having a thought. I'm trying to consider if I want to bring the pink on here yet. The green is, actually the green's already dry. Because I've used not thick paint through here, the green is pretty dry. I think it would be okay to bring the pink in. And if not, and you start ending up with some muddy areas, just let that part dry for a few minutes or hair dry it to make it go even faster. But we're going to mix magenta and white. So I've got just a little clean spot. Oh, okay, never mind. It's got dark blue mixed in it. I think it's okay. So I've got magenta. I'm going to scrape off a little white. You can see that if I used a palette knife, this would be much cleaner. But I am a messy palette person. If only I could get that way on my painting. If I could treat my paintings the way I do my palette, then everything would ease up. So I'm looking for kind of a raspberry smoothie pink color, Barbie box pink, whatever helps you visualize. Let's have a look at the original. So you can see the pink and white mixed in there around, and yes, we're gonna put it in with the green and everything else. If you like a lot of pink, this would be the time to definitely do it. I just got a text message. One of our friends is he has a like limousine service, and he does the driving, and he's driving Dave Grohl around right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's funny. Like, how do I get involved with that? He always gets to rub elbows with celebrities. He had
Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi.
Yeah, he had Ellen and Ellen's wife, and then he had gosh, who else was before that?
Simon Le Bon.
Yeah,
Duran
Duran.
from Duran Duran. I'm always like, do you need a co-pilot, bro?
He always has this little cute dog with him who's
I don't know if he takes the dog on that.
What? I don't remember. Was his dog the little white poodle? Was it like Precious from Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
We just watched Silence of the Lambs. I hadn't seen it since I was 18, and Greta had been wanting to watch it. I'm like, oh, Greta's 18. Let's just watch it. And the little white dog on it, Precious. That's exactly what JoJo's dog is. That's so funny.
Was it JoJo that messaged you?
No, Jenny.
Oh, okay. Jenny from the block?
Jenny from the block messaged to let us know JoJo is driving Dave Grohl. Lucky duck. We love Dave Grohl. Okay, I've got a lot of pink on there. I like it a lot. And
like it a lot.
if you wanted to be extra and add an additional color,
no extra.
you can make a lighter pink. Just kind of stir some off to the side of this pink. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe just like a couple shades lighter or something. And maybe just hit some small areas where the sun is extreme.
Daniel, I would say that's an accurate conclusion to come up with.
What's that?
Wait, is Dave Grohl in town?
It must be. Okay, there, I added some bits of the lighter pink, kind of concentrating back here where it's closest to the sun as like the light source. And back here, like I said, where it's closest to the sun, you could even add, later on after this dries, you could add some of this light lemon yellow, which was the white and yellow mixed together. And that would just tie the sunlight down into this. I feel like the green kind of does that a little bit. But if you really wanted to add some yellow in there, you could. And, you know, maybe I'll do that in a little while just since I mentioned it so that you can see how it would look. And right now I'm going to break up
Oh, that was terrible.
some of these spots where the green was the main color wrapping around here. Just to...
Yeah, son of a...
Okay.
I'm struggling.
Yeah, you are. You are really struggling.
Not really struggling, but I'm struggling.
It's okay. You know, we have those days.
No, it's just so outside of my realm of comfort. It's messy but controlled. I'm cheating. I borrowed a paint color.
All right. So let's thinking out loud. Let's do a second coat of purple here, and then since we'll already have the purple mixed, we'll refresh our little vineyard rose and get that. Oh, Susan.
What?
Speaking of nature, I just walked out on my deck and scared a family of skunks. Well, hopefully they didn't scare you back in the way that comes with Stinky.
I thought in the general direction.
I remember as a kid, I was terrified of getting sprayed by a skunk. It's so funny. I'm going to borrow some of your magenta.
We have wildlife here in the space. We're trying to save a bumblebee, but I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, there was a bumblebee that Paul found out on the sidewalk and brought it in and put it in a little plastic open
I think he's
box
gone.
thing.
He has left us.
And gave some water because we've read that that's what you should do. Let's show the bumblebee because it's so big.
Well, he has departed.
Oh, buddy. Maybe it was just, you know, they don't live super long.
No.
Paul said it was like a Nevada bumblebee is what it's called. Yeah, I can't really get attached to very many insects because they just don't
Okay,
live
here he comes.
super long. He's a big guy. Like, look at my paintbrush next to him. Oh, so fuzzy.
Knowing, I'm going to set him aside because I bet
Rest in peace, little
Greta's
buddy.
going to want him.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just refreshing these hills. And now I will refresh the Vineyard Rose, and you can make them, so I'm just dabbing the brush. And again, remember they're thin back here and then they fluff out down here. So you can emphasize the fluffiness by just dabbing your brush around. And this is where you want to start making sure that you don't have any white left down here. And all of my white canvas that's in here was attached to these rows, so I knew that coming back in here I would cover it. But if you have white that's like out in the middle, you can pick a color, any of those several colors we worked with, and fix that up. And there we go. Kind of cleaning up back here a little bit. We are going to put a row of blue shrubs back there. You've heard of murder hornets. That thing looks like it's a murder bumblebee. Bumblebees are like giant panda bears? Yes. It's a panda bee. I like that. But not a murder panda bee. It's a friendly panda bee. I felt so bad for it, though. It was just like...
This is
tell
like...
it was...
We've had too much wildlife die in this warehouse in the last week.
Yeah, we had a bird get... A fledgling house sparrow get stuck in here. And it was just calling for its mama.
For 3 days.
And we kept trying to catch it. And Paul finally got it, and he had read that you give them...
It was too late.
Baby food.
It was too late.
Give them baby food applesauce, because, you know, we figured, oh my gosh. They left water out for it every day. But baby food applesauce is one of the things they can eat, and he spoon-fed it, but it just... And it ate some, but it just couldn't survive. It died, like, right when you brought it home.
In my hand.
Mm-hmm. In your hand while you were trying to feed it. It was so sad. I think you need to keep your doors closed. There we go. Okay. Okay. Looking a little vaguely Van Gogh-ish. We don't have a huge amount of other things to do, but it's all the finishing touches. So we are definitely going to do that. Oh, I'm glad it reunited with its family. You have a robin that built a nest under the deck. She laid 3 broods. She yells at me every time I go outside. Yeah, the robins can be pretty aggressive when they have babies. There was one at an outdoor shopping mall that nested on top of one of the light poles that go on the sidewalk that you walk on. And anytime anyone would walk past the light pole, it would fly down and peck your head. And it happened to me as well. And it was like the weirdest thing. It's like, all I'm like 12 feet under you. I'm just walking and minding my own business. I'm just trying to go to Old Navy. Come on. But yeah, they are very protective. I suppose I would be that way if I were an animal.
You're that way with your kids now.
I am not. My kids, I really want. I'm like, can you launch already? Can you just launch a little bit?
Greta's working on it. She's getting closer.
She dive bombshells the dogs. That is a brave bird. Very brave. How do the dogs react to that? Dive bomb. Oh, I knew what you were trying to say. Dive bombs the dogs. That must surprise them a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead now and get some trees put in over here. Then we'll do some highlights back here. This needs to dry just a little bit. And then we'll come in later and put some magenta here and there on the vineyard rows just to break them up a bit so they're not just such a giant mass of purple when we've got all these other colors going on. The color here, so I kind of made a shrubby hedge along here. So I do have a row of the grape plants here, but I want to also build a row of shrubs. I'm just thinking. So this, when I painted these on, they weren't super opaque, so you could kind of see through them. And then I came back and added highlights, and that helped cover that up. But also you might end up putting a second coat of color. So these are, we make the purple, but we add a little bit more blue, so it's more of a blue-based purple. Because we want a dark color. So I've got
You really want to kick it up a notch, add a little bit of yellow ochre.
Oh, really? Show me what that would do. Oh, yeah. So let's show your color. So Paul made the purple, and then he added yellow ochre to it, which the yellow in it and the blue is going to turn it kind of green. But so I think that's a great idea. I'm going to try that out. Yeah. I'm going to try that out. You guys can as well, and it will definitely help the opacity, and maybe add a little more blue in there just to darken things up. If needed, a little more magenta. There. So that was magenta, cyan, and little yellow ochre. So it makes a very dark, greenish color. And these trees, let's maybe sketch them out with your number 4 brush. I think that's probably a good one that would give you a little more feeling of control if you feel like you need that. I am going to actually add a drop of water or two to this paint, just because we're drawing something kind of small, and having the water in there is a little bit helpful. So these are
cypress trees?
They are Italian cypress trees, and they are fashioned to look kind of like a flame. I have 3. You can do 2, you can do 1, it doesn't matter. I just did one that goes off the canvas just to kind of bring the painting down further. And then I have these 2 smaller ones here, and like there's another, maybe one growing here. But yeah, they're wider at the base, and they just sort of come up almost kind of spooky trees. So let's take our number 4, dip it in the water, dry it off, take your color. And how about let's work on this one down here, because it's less, like it doesn't go up above the sky, so it's a little less intimidating.
I think it should.
Yeah, I think so too. I am going to bring it up. Because my blue hills are a little dark, I'm going to bring it up. So I'm just going to start with a wobbly stick shape. And then I might widen this up down here, and then this here. And I'm just kind of joining together so it makes a tall, stretched out, wobbly teardrop shape. And I'll fill that in. Oh, I want to bring that down off the bottom of the canvas. Sorry, I forgot about that. And we'll do our trees, and then we'll, if needed, we'll put a little shrubby hedge along there. And to keep it from just being a single teardrop, I like to just, some of the areas here I might come up with another wobbly bit. Maybe down here. Maybe right here.
I don't want to hear about wobbly bits.
We have wobbly bits. We're getting old. There we go. So this is very dark against a dark mountain. So I'm using pretty thick paint here. If they're Italian cypress trees, do they talk with their hands? Yes! Yes!
I talk with my hands. Does that make me Italian?
Yes!
That was kind of like a, almost a Meet the Fockers reference, almost.
I don't really remember the lines in that movie.
You know, he's like, what was it? What was the character's name? What was Ben Stiller's name?
Gaylord Fokker.
Yeah. He's like, I have nipples. Can you milk me?
That was from, yeah, Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and scoot back this way, and we'll make the middle tree. It's kind of, I'm gonna have it right here, and about halfway between here and here, maybe a little closer to this tree. Same thing, just go up with the little wobbly stick. I'm using the thin edge of the brush to do this. If it's easier for you, use your smallest brush.
These are almost the easiest trees to paint.
Yeah, and they're, you can lighten the pressure as you get up here so that you get a thinner line. But if that's a hard thing for you to do, use your little guy to get the tippy top of the tree. And again, wider down here. Come on up. Maybe this one I'm gonna just not join it together. It's gonna have a second sprout, and then I'll fill in the middle.
Filming for Happy Gilmore 2 starts next in the next couple months.
I know you want to go be an extra in it.
Gosh, you know how many, like every golfer on the East Coast is going to show up for that audition. No experience necessary. You just got to look like a golfer. No, that's easy enough.
I'm gonna actually bring this into the vineyard a little, because it looks really weird, just like it's pasted there. This one's just breaking up things, I guess. And I'm going to do a little guy right here. He's the little fledgling.
Not talking about fledglings. That was traumatic.
Mm-hmm. It was very sad. Little bird.
Although, my buddy Aru said the fact that I gave it its last nourishment is good karma.
Oh yeah, he would know all about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 more weeks.
Yeah. Our friends are coming to town from Michigan. We're pretty excited. We haven't seen them since COVID, like 2021, I think.
It's been a while. I think it's been longer than that. I am taking time off from work.
Oh, you are? Oh, yeah. You're going to, wait. Oh, you're going to golf. Fun fact, my sister-in-law is at Foo Fighters concert. Talk about a callback. That is so funny.
Wait, who?
Daniel's sister-in-law is at the Foo Fighters concert. I hope they bring Drew Carey to get revenge for Bob Barker. That would be funny.
That would be funny.
So if you want to do another tree, you can make another one. Do make it go over the hill a little bit.
For what it's worth, Happy Gilmore is our guilty pleasure. Well, mine.
Yeah, I kind of, I think I've watched it so many times that I'm just like, I'm probably good for many, many years.
We saw it in the theater, and I've seen it, I usually watch it at least once a year.
Zoom out here. So yes, these trees are definitely not super opaque, but I think they are opaque enough that when I add highlights and some low lights on there, that they don't need a second coat. But what they do need is something that allows them to fit in here, because it looks really strange the way they're pasted right along that row there. They just almost look one-dimensional. So I'm going to fix that up for us in just a minute. But before we do that, let's add our highlights onto this hill back here. It's done the same way that we did these, but I think I'm going to go down a brush size to my number 4, because I know we used the number 8 for these. And so a little bit smaller, because these are smaller and they're farther back, I think would be a good idea. And I used yellow ochre, which I haven't used much of. You can see it's still got a nice glob on my palette here. So right out of the tube, yellow ochre. And same thing, I just kind of go along the top here and figure, okay, this would come down like this. And this is really vivid against this. I think my painting on the last one might have been, the purple was wet. So if this feels a little too light to you, you could just mix some of your purple with it and it will tone it down. But I'm going to go with it. I'm just thinking, okay, this is the hot Italian sun, and it's going to be casting some good light on these back hills. I am going to add a drop of water to the paint because I feel like it needs it.
Oh, wow. You're adding stuff.
Yeah. So again, little broken up dashes. It's easy to get into the habit of just doing like perfectly long lines like I was just doing, but I had to think to myself, hey, calm down. You need to be a little more loose with this. So this one, same thing, just coming in here.
So naturally, adding rigid vineyard rows is how you calm down and loosen up. I gotcha.
So let's go ahead. These are still wet, but our vineyard rows are dry. My brain sees these rows as though they're water reflecting the northern lights.
I can see that.
Interesting. Okay. Or maybe there's trees that are casting shadows. Because, you know, shadows kind of stretch. So they could be little trees casting shadows. But no, it's wine. It's wine.
Gosh, a glass of wine sounds so good right now. Actually, a beer sounds really good.
Okay, so again, adding...
Again. What was that from?
Adding
Do you remember?
Some, magenta dabs on top of these purple rows, just to break them up. You could add other colors. The magenta, I thought, well, maybe those are like red grapes. I need some magenta.
It was something one of the kids used to
magenta
watch.
It was probably the Teletubbies. Yeah, it was. It was Teletubbies.
Oh, so it wasn't something the kids watched.
It was something you watched.
It was something I watched. I used to love me some Teletubbies.
Before we had kids, Paul would watch Teletubbies. I don't know why I picked this one here, but I'm just kind of doing little dabs. Like,
Look.
Think of them like little grapes.
Before we had
Clusters.
kids, I used to get up in the morning, and make my breakfast. And it was like I had two choices. I could watch the morning news or I could watch Teletubbies.
Teletubbies was new, and it was so weird that we were like, we have to watch this again. It's so weird. Like the little vacuum thing, Nunu. So weird. And Tubby Testard.
And we ended up, there's like a little green strip park that's real close to our house.
Everybody calls it Teletubby Park.
I think I was the first one, though.
Really?
I think so.
Huh, I thought people had been calling it that forever.
No, because
It looks just like the park and the...
we kind of have like the little baby face going on right now, the baby face sun coming up.
You could paint a baby face in that.
I'm not going to. That baby face always reminded me of your sister for some
Yeah,
reason.
because it looked just like her baby pictures.
And we don't want to revisit that.
No, we don't. Okay, so this pink color, the straight out of the tube magenta, I also used it as back low lights along this back edge of these trees. So if you want, you can add it as well. I think I'll use my number 4 brush. And just on the back side, it's going to not stand out a lot because these are so dark, but it does create another way to add an expressive color in here.
To top that.
Yeah, I do really like that, even though it's subtle. Nice. And then take a look at your vineyard and see if there's any areas where you maybe still have some white canvas, that pesky white canvas peeking through, or any spots that you feel like, you know, maybe I want more green here, or more blue, or pink, whatever. I do have a few spots where you can see little speckles of white. Not too many.
I hear an airplane.
I do too. Okay. So now I want to add the little subtle shrubs that are back here at the base of the vineyard. And that's just so it doesn't just end right at the mountains. I want to give the idea that there's something in between there, maybe like shrubs, hedges, or some woods. And so any color could be used here that stands out against this. I'm going to go with, I've got the cyan and white. I'm going to try a little bit darker mix of those two. So see, I've got a really light one there, but I think I'm going to go with this. And just dab it along here. And so even though that's a kind of a darker mix, it's still really light. So I could even add a little more cyan to that. And straight cyan, well, straight cyan shows up. It's just quite a bit darker. Maybe a mix of the two is kind of cool. And so I just build up little, thinking of like, okay, maybe there's little low shrubs and trees and something along here. And you can even bring it down into the vineyard a little bit here and there, so that it's not such a HOA looking thing. Little unplanned. We've let some of the weeds grow, the blue weeds. We're almost done, Paul, so I wouldn't make yourself anything large.
I'm not.
I hear him refreshing his drink over there. Can't take it in the car. And this is the part over here that I don't really like. I feel like like I said, these are kind of like one-dimensional, just pasted in there. So I'm going to bring, maybe with this larger brush. Actually, I'll start with my number 8. And back here, same color. See if that works. Maybe a little bit lighter for this. Yeah, I think actually a little bit lighter is good, or a mix of the two. And go right across the base of these trees. Kind of blotting out a lot of that line. You don't have to blot every single bit out, but just make it look like it's a little overgrown. So Van Gogh would probably, this is more impressionistic what I'm doing right here. He would probably like make them more like these hills. But we're just going to do a mix of Monet and Van Gogh here. I'd have to look at how he painted shrubs. I think they were kind of solid with highlights like the mountains are. That looks a little bit better. I feel like maybe having them all one color is not like necessarily what I need to stick with. Like I could come in with, let's try yellow ochre. Because we've got that so much right here, especially back here, maybe even like the tops of these. Let me zoom in a little. The sun is going to glance off of that in selective spots, the higher areas. The nice thing about this is it turns kind of green on top of the wet blue paint. So good, we have green foliage. It's never gonna hurt anything. Oop, off the camera there. Okay, now we want to suggest the sun hitting off the side of the left side of each of these cypress trees. So a good color to use here is your yellow. And let's try it just plain on its own, unmixed with white or anything. See how that shocks the system. I don't have a ton of paint on the brush. You can see there's just a little. And yeah, that's good. Just make sure you use little paint. And because it's kind of a transparent color, it's going to turn sort of greenish. And concentrate on the left side where the sun is hitting. You can use a smaller brush than this number 8. I don't know why I grabbed this one. Probably the number 4 is a better one to use, because that's mostly what we painted these with.
I'm done.
Okay. And then we could leave them like that, or we could do the extra little bit of highlight, which would be mixing some white and yellow together. Oh my gosh, my white has a skin on the top. Oh, got some green. Must have some cyan going on in there. It's okay. So this is a much brighter color, and this would be for like the outer edges here where the sun is giving that last bit of shine. I like to do multiple tones of highlights and shadows. It's just for the ultra highlight, which is what we're doing now. The ultra highlight's like the brightest one. I use less. And then I was telling you earlier about how I wanted to show what it would look like if I added some yellow in here. And I don't really have it on the original, but I do have a lot of green, so it kind of gives that idea of the sun really hitting right here where this area is closer to the sun in this viewpoint. So what I would do is I'm going to try just straight yellow. Oh, that's nice. I like that. And just do your little dashes in the dirt areas between the vineyards, between the vineyard rows. Oh, that's really nice. I like it a lot. Oh, that adds such a nice touch. Now, if you have a lot of blue going on back here, and maybe it's turning a little green and less yellow, and you want it more yellow, you can add some white to your yellow. And I'm going to do that just to see, because painting is all about experimenting with what works and what doesn't. I am going to make a little white and yellow mix. Mine's dried up already, believe it or not. So kind of the lemon curd color that we did up here. And add just very little of that because it is very bright. The white will kind of take charge here. And I'm just like we did on these trees, just adding an ultra highlight in and around, but not as much as the plain yellow. Very nice. Maybe I'll stretch a couple of these down a little bit. Your ochre looks like a dragon. Interesting. Like that way? Yeah, it does. It totally does. Like this is the eye, that's the snout. And I like that you can see the pareidolia.
I'm going to start paying a psychologist to come in and sit in.
This is what it would look like if you added some bright yellow. Like I'm just using what's left of my yellow-white mixture on what's left on my brush. So that's kind of good. Complaints about my own painting, what I would say is not loving the shrubs. I might think more about what I wanted to do with that shape-wise, and it does feel a little planned out because that's just something I should work on. Maybe break it up a bit. Yeah, so I think I'd probably plan that out a little bit better. It's not bad. It's just it's not my favorite part of the painting. Everything else I really like, though, with this particular one. Thinking here, looking at it on the monitor. If there's anything else I would add? I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do. But this is pretty much it for this painting. We've covered everything. Yeah, I like the addition of the yellow in there. Very nice. So I'm going to sign it now, and then we'll pull Paul's over in a minute. So when you sign your painting, you want to use your smallest brush and use a paint that's a little bit watered down. And I just keep my signature pretty small. I think I need to add a little extra paint here. Yeah, I just keep it pretty small and inobtrusive. I didn't have enough water in my paint, so my brush kind of dragged a little, but oh well. I can look at this and know it was mine. Speaking of which, did we mention about how we went to that restaurant and my painting was hanging on?
No, we didn't. You go ahead and tell that story.
I think, did we tell it last time?
No, I don't think so.
No, it looks like it says Joe, my signature. It's not supposed to be.
No, I know we didn't because we haven't done a class. We haven't done a session since then. Okay,
so we took our son out to, he likes to spend the night with grandparents on different nights, which they love. He's 23 and everybody loves him so much, and everybody loves that he takes time to spend with his grandparents, who are all aging, and
they will all be in their 80s as of December.
Yeah. So anyway, after dropping him off, which it's like a 40-minute drive from our house, Greta and Paul and I were hungry, so we stopped at a Thai restaurant in the city they live in. And we're sitting at the table, and Greta goes, Mom, isn't that one of your paintings on the wall? And it was hanging right in our booth, right about, and like we didn't even notice that we had sat there for maybe 5 minutes or so. And sure enough, it was one of my early 2011 Van Gogh paintings that I had taught in 2011, maybe 2012, because we opened in we opened in October of 2011. So it was that first year of business. And it was insane to see it there. And I just kind of sat there and critiqued it and thought, I would pay them to take this painting down. And I'll just replace it with one of my newer ones. Because I could see how much I have learned in teaching for over a decade and painting and designing paintings, hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of paintings with Van Gogh. I didn't personally design thousands, but I think we probably are getting pretty close with Gobox and Van Gogh.
We got to be getting close to 1,000.
Yeah, and I've learned so much that looking at that old work and having it hanging in public was just like, oh my God, I am so humiliated.
And
but it was pretty funny.
We pointed it out to the waitress, and she was so nice. She was like, "Oh,
hello, sweet ray of sunshine
really
crafts."
good.
Yeah, she's like, compliment. It's really good. You did a really good job. And I'm like, thank you. And then when she walked away, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get that. How do I take it down?
Just go in. We'll just have to go in again and sneak in
It was
a new
funny.
one.
So it was a painting of a. I was really into like a lot of Asian culture stuff. So it was floating lanterns on water with mountains in the background, and it was pretty neat. So neat concept, not so great execution. I would do it totally different now. So I think we're ready to show yours, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me zoom
It's
out
as
just
gonna.
a bit.
It's as done as it's gonna get.
So Paul got going with the green.
I actually snuck some green in.
And his is like a night scene. Mine's a sunset. Yours is like a moonrise. Moonrise with I like this blue on the. That's another thing you guys can do. Like I did a darker color as my shadow back here, but you can do a lighter color than your base tree.
We almost did the opposite in that area. Mm-hmm. Where my back hillside is darker, but my trees are lighter, and
you added highlights to your vineyard yourself, which I considered doing, but I thought that it would take away from this kaleidoscope of color, which it might. Thank you, Marlene.
I got a little carried away with the sky.
Yeah, your sky is pretty epic.
I don't know if epic is the right word.
I really like that it's a moonrise, and I love this back here. So that is something that you guys can add as well. We've got room, and you could add some hints of these back here.
You did like more vineyards, and I did like cypress trees. That's the difference.
Like back here, I just did kind of shrubby shapes that I didn't love. So thinking again and looking at this, I might come back doing this painting again and use a dark color, maybe black and some blue mixed together, because I don't really have anything darker than this. And do some little hints of dark cypress trees back there. Maybe some that extend over the mountain range, like these that are closer to the vineyard base and just extend up higher. And because of our point of view, it's looking like they're taller than the mountains. Yeah. There we go.
So I think like the one thing that I struggle with on paintings like this is, and I'm just going to lay it out there, my instinct in terms of painting is to use less vibrant colors.
Looks like an eye. Yeah, it does look like an eye. Yeah, your instinct is definitely to use more natural colors.
And even desaturated colors at that. And so we start getting into these types of paintings where it's all color all the time. And that's where, like, personally, like, you were earlier and I was like feeling like a little lost. Mm-hmm. Is because it's all color.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Color.
But, anywho,
let's go ahead and go back on and say goodbye.
Hello, everybody.
That was really fun. Paul's going to be teaching to us next week, same time, same place. And what are
Yeah.
you painting?
I have no idea.
He did a mountain painting, and I reminded him that it looked almost exactly like
It's right there.
Frost Mountain that
I
we
can
did.
grab it.
We did in November 2 years ago. And
Like I was all going along and feeling all happy and proud, and she's like, "It looks like one you did 2 years ago." And I was like,
The only reason I remembered that is because I was going through albums and saw that Frost Mountain painting.
But we haven't done a
recently.
mountain since then. That was the last time we did a mountain, and that's been like 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems like we've done it.
So this is where I started. I mean, this is kind of where
It's pretty.
This is where I
but it is-
stopped.
It is kind of snowy looking. Like it needs to be something a little
Yeah.
more seasonal.
But you can see like the lack of color. It's right.
It's kind of also channeling. You have a spider web on your hand.
I'm not surprised.
It's kind of channeling winter shimmer a little bit. Which was
So what
his
you're
winter
saying
painting.
is I've run out of ideas.
It's Bob Rossian. That's a new adjective, Bob Rossian.
I've run out of ideas. What can I say? No, I haven't.
I've
run
got plenty of ideas saved that I can send your way for paintings.
The thing is, it's like for me personally, and maybe you're the same way. I don't know. It's difficult. Boy, our camera is like really zoomed out. Like here, I'm crossing my leg, and here's my hand on my knee. What was I starting to say? Oh, I have a harder time when other people come to me with like, here's an idea for you to paint. Don't you have that struggle too?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we will be posting that painting very soon. And trying to think if there's any other news. If you are, again, if you are local and you want to check out some of our sessions coming up locally, go to vinegogh.com. So it's VINEGOGH.com. Why are you so short now? No, I feel big.
I can't go down any further.
So yeah, vinegogh.com, you can see what we've got going on. And if there's any paintings there, because I'll teach different ones with live setting than we do.
I wouldn't say that yet.
Sometimes we do.
I wouldn't say that yet because we've just gotten back into doing the live ones, and we'll probably recycle paintings from GoBox.
Yeah, some. But anyway, yeah, if you want to check those out, vinegogh.com, click on sessions, and you'll see what we have coming up.
And if you're a pet groomer, visit primapetbathing.com. I'm wearing
Primabathing.com. It's not
Primabathing.com.
Primabathing.com.
I'm wearing my shirt. I'm representing. I always feel like Green Lantern when I wear this shirt.
I ordered those shirts when they were doing a special during the print company was doing a special during St. Patrick's Day, and I was like, oh, green's a good logo.
Yeah.
Because your
These
logo's
cheap
green.
shirts on bright green. And
There's my shoe.
yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna sign out and enjoy the rest of our weekend. I hope you enjoy the rest of
There's a
the
bug.
Ghost of the
Yes, there is a
It's
fly.
a fly.
It's a fly.
You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
To be fair, on the fly thing, we are about 1.5 miles from cow pastures.
Yeah.
So
Great. So we've got a visitor that's landed in cow poo.
we always hope that the wind is going
Woo.
north to south because then we get coffee roasting smell. But when the wind is going south to north, we get cow poop.
Cow poop or coffee? It's a toss-up. You never know what
And
you're
I don't-
getting when you come into work here.
Honestly, I don't know anybody, even people who don't like the smell of coffee, would probably still choose coffee smell over cow
Absolutely.
poop.
Absolutely.
Coffee poop.
Coffee poop.
There is a blending. It smells a bit grassy. So.
Okay, you've got the mouse, so you're going to
I
sign
do.
us off.
Where to go?
And we will see you guys very soon.
Bye.
1 week from today.
See you later.